Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping into the week that pretty much changed AI forever. Back in November 2025, OpenAI and Google just dropped their massive flagship models, GPT 5.1 and Gemini 3, sparking this incredible race. So, we're going to break down what makes them so different and, what it actually means for you.
Okay, so let's set the scene. November 2025 was pure chaos. This quote right here just perfectly captures that feeling. After months and months of rumors, two of the biggest names in AI dropped their most powerful models literally within days of each other. And look, this wasn't just another update, it was a huge, fundamental shift in what's even possible for developers, creators, really anyone using these tools. But this was not your typical polished product launch. No way. Instead of these big stage presentations and, the perfectly rehearsed demos, we got something way messier, more urgent, and frankly, a lot more interesting. It felt like a genuine race where both companies were just shipping first and figuring out the explanations later. Just look at how close these releases were. They were practically back-to-back. OpenAI drops GPT 5.1 on November 13th. Then Google starts quietly, kind of sneakily rolling out Gemini 3 through its mobile apps before they even officially announced it on the 19th. This whole staggered release created a ton of confusion, but it also gave this awesome opportunity for early adopters to test these things out in the wild. So first up, let's talk about OpenAI's GPT 5.1. We're calling this one the precise coder because its real superpower is mastering language, logic, and especially writing code. Now, the philosophy behind GPT 5.1 isn't about some massive leap into brand new territory. Nope. Instead, it's all about iterative refinement, just making the core engine faster, smarter, and way more enjoyable to work with. And for you, this means more reliability, more trust. It's like a tool that's been sharpened to a razor's edge for all the stuff you already do. And all that refinement, it really pays off in some tangible ways. It's got this new adaptive reasoning, which means it's quicker on simple stuff. It's also way more token efficient. One firm actually found it used about half the tokens of its competitors for similar quality work. But maybe the biggest change is its tone. It's just warmer, more empathetic, and it's much better at getting what you mean on the very first try. All right, let's switch gears and turn to the other contender. In the opposite corner, we've got Google's visual creator. And yeah, as the name suggests, Gemini 3 takes a completely different approach, focusing on a whole new frontier. And this is absolutely crucial. Gemini 3 is not a text model with some visual features just tacked on. It was built from the ground up to be multimodal. That means it literally thinks in text, images, video, and audio all at the same time, which unlocks some incredible new capabilities. This isn't just about adding pictures to a prompt. It's about collapsing entire creative workflows into a single step. And one of its biggest advantages is this. A massive 1 million token context window. This is an absolute game changer for handling large, complex tasks. So what does a million tokens actually mean? Well, think of a token as a piece of a word. A million of them is like being able to read and remember the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy, all 3 books, in one shot. For your work, this means you can feed it an entire codebase, a gigantic research report, or even hours of video, and it can reason across the whole thing without losing the plot. And this is where Gemini 3 just truly shines. It's not just about understanding different media, it's about creating it. People were generating complex animations and even a fully functional 3D tank game from a single prompt, on the first try. Its ability to design and code unique user interfaces on the fly is a huge leap forward. It's an insanely powerful tool for visual prototyping. Okay, but how do these different philosophies actually play out in the real world? Let's walk through a practical test. Building a simple landing page. So with GPT 5.1, the process is pretty linear and specialized. It writes you fantastic marketing copy, no doubt. It generates a clean, solid code structure, but then you have to leave the tool. You've got to jump over to a design app for mockups, then to an image generator for your visuals. It's a multi-tool process that took us about 45 minutes to get done. Now compare that to the Gemini 3 workflow. We just described the entire page, the copy, the style, even the animations, all in one prompt. And it just delivered functional code with the visual elements already baked in. We could then tweak the design right there in the same conversation. The whole thing was consolidated into one tool and took just 20 minutes. That's less than half the time.
Of course, a model's raw power is really only half the story, right? The ecosystem it lives in and what it actually costs to run are just as important. So let's look at the practical side of things.
And here, you've got a pretty clear choice. OpenAI, they offer this vast, mature ecosystem with great APIs and just massive community support. Google, on the other hand, gives you this deep, seamless integration if you're already living in their world. I mean, connecting Gemini to Google Sheets took us just 3 clicks. It was that easy.
So what about the price tag? Well, on paper, the API costs per million tokens are nearly identical. But you have to remember, the real return on your investment isn't just the API bill. It's the time you and your team save. That's the real cost.
So, after all this, which one's better? Which one should you pick? Well, the most interesting answer to that question might actually surprise you a little bit.
Here's the key takeaway. It's not about which model is the best. It's about which one is best for the job you're doing right now. This little decision matrix helps you map the right tool to your workflow. If your work is mainly text and code, GPT 5.1 is your reliable workhorse. But if visual content and multimodal projects are your whole world, Gemini 3 is the clear winner.
This quote from the source material we analyzed it hits the nail on the head. It perfectly summarizes this new reality. The era of a single, one-size-fits-all AI model, that's over. We're moving into an age of specialized tools, and the real winners are going to be the ones who know how to build the right toolkit.
So the smartest teams we're seeing aren't even choosing one over the other. They're budgeting for both. They use GPT 5.1, the precise coder, for writing, for code reviews, and for logical analysis. Then they turn to Gemini 3, the visual creator, for design, for prototypes, and all their visual assets. And for a combined cost of about $40 a month, you're getting capabilities that are still way cheaper than a single new hire.
This is just a massive leap in creative potential. I mean, for the first time, we have specialized, state-of-the-art tools for both logical and visual creation right at our fingertips. So the real question isn't which tool is better. The real question is, how are you going to combine their strengths to build something that was impossible just a few months ago?